Hi, I'm Diane Dressback, and I have Kimber with me. And today we are interviewing Julie Kidd. Julie is a chapter writer in the compilation book From Us for You, Inspiring Stories of Healing, Growth, and Transformation. So welcome, Julie, to our interview today. Thank you. And Julie and I have known each other for a very long time because we went to high school together. So, and I won't tell you exactly how long that was, but
please.
It's been a ways. It's been
a few years.
Yeah. You've been doing some interesting things since high school. So why don't you just give us a little bit of a snippet? Give us a little intro to Julie Kidd.
Well, I graduated high school and I was always very driven, and, I had some, I worked and then I had kids, but real soon, about 10 years after, I guess, I got into stand-up comedy, and I've been doing comedy, all this time. And I also got into dance. I was a dance teacher, and my kids went on to do great things. My daughter has toured with Katy Perry. I mean, everyone from J-Lo to Pharrell Williams, you name it, she's done that. So, I spent a lot of time in a dance studio, probably 25 years, but I am definitely a woman who likes to get involved in things that I'm passionate about, which is dance, comedy. I love to write. There's a lot of writers in my family. So I've been doing a lot of writing, and I've been doing a lot of co-authoring. It's just weird how the universe works like that. So that's what I've been doing, and raising kids. And now I'm a grandmother, and you don't do the math, but I'm a great grandmother now. It's a long story.
Wow.
And it's my blood. I know, go figure. So just, just hustling, keeping the dream alive.
That's so interesting that you're doing a lot of co-authoring. And I loved your statement about the universe, how it just leads you and you're not intending to go there, but you find yourself there and you're like, whoa, how'd I get here?
I know. And then I've got, after I finish this one book that I'm working on, and then I've got someone on, on deck, and I'm like, how did I get here? But I think, it's a compilation of everything that you do over the years, takes you there.
Well, we're excited that that's where life is taking you. Can you give us just a little snippet of, or an elevator pitch, if you will, for your chapter? Because I can't wait to read it. So tune me in.
Well, honestly, when Diane and I talked about this, I was tapped out, right? Diane, I had mentioned to you, I was working on a book of my own about the funniest housewives that I produced, a comedy show, and the history of women in comedy. And really, my brain was done. I worked on that book, through COVID, 12 to 18 hours a day. In fact, I got shingles, I think, because I was just so stressed and the drive. And then I ended up getting COVID. So
wow.
Diane and I talked about writing, me writing a piece. Of course, I was thrilled to do so and honored to be asked to have that opportunity. I was pretty tapped out, but it was interesting. We were going to have a Christmas party for Christmas, a family gathering. And I said, let's do the gift exchange, furry, fantasy, funny, you could buy a gift. So that just really clicked with me. I thought and we never did have the Christmas party because of COVID, and I was sick over Christmas. But I thought that really kind of describes me in 3 words. I love animals. I'm vegan, and I love to fantasize. I like to make my dreams come true. I'm really big into manifesting, and funny. I mean, I think I'm funny. Maybe some people don't, but I thought how interesting. And so I just started kind of really writing what those 3 words meant to me, even as a child, raised by an alcoholic father, really having, oh, there's my cat. See, furry, right here.
Furry.
And the boa.
Excuse me.
She just plopped down. She's like, I'm here. So I don't know. There was just something kind of magical about those 3 words, I thought. And then I just went with it. I just took off with that.
And so then you overcame the blockage or the fatigue of it. And it's funny that you mentioned that you got shingles, because I also attracted shingles when I was writing my book. And it was horrific. But the beauty of getting it was that I was experiencing pain physically, but I needed to experience the pain emotionally in order to keep writing.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I was in an all out battle of war, but it was a fascinating journey. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one.
You know, it was kind of a battle with your body between the pain and of course the itching, like you have chicken pox. And then, you know, it was about 4 or 5 weeks, but I worked through it. I worked through it. And when you can overcome and, you know, I heard other stories that people had it way worse than me. So you know, I didn't complain, but I knew that it was just, I was overworking myself and pushing. But the book that I wrote, and I know this isn't about that, it started out to be something else. And my stepsister, who died about 4 years ago, was a big part of the Housewives. And she would come to me in my dreams, and I could hear her talking to me. So I was like, okay, when I wake up, and then I'd get up and write stuff down, like things that I feel like we co-wrote it, even though she's not here, she's transitioned.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, she would push me. And it was like that in normal life too, when we would work together. So I think the push just took me down a little bit. And then COVID was like being in a mud-filled grave for a week.
Oh my Lord.
I just slept. I didn't have any concept of anything. So, but I survived that too.
Yeah.
Well, good. And we're glad that you're here. And
Tell us-
since you, oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Di.
I was just going to say, because you had mentioned the Housewives, the funniest Housewives. So explain exactly what that is.
So the funniest housewives are female comedians, and we all have names that really describe our persona, you know, our character, our persona, and what we do comedy about. It started out as just 5 comics, female comics, and you know, there was a trailer trash housewife, dysfunctional housewife, and we started doing shows with like 9 people in the audience. And people said we couldn't do it because it was a female. You know, female comedians don't get the accolades that male comedians get. But we built it from the ground up, and the next thing you know, within, you know, a little bit of time, of course, you know, we were selling out the Improv, selling out the Coach House, and it still is happening to this day. And it was getting so much rave reviews. Even, you know, a year ago, right before COVID, I finally had my first Funniest Housewives comedy contest, and you know,
Wow.
it was on the news, and anyway, everything was really, really happening. But we have been going strong for 12 years. COVID, of course, cut this, you know, down, but we'll get right back to it once things open up. So it was just, the history of the Funniest Housewives, and how, you know, a female comedy group, the longest one in the country, you know, we held our ground against all the naysayers, and, you know, and I did a lot of research on, you know, women in comedy, and articles that were written that really had no background. And you know, we did it, but it's also very inspiring. So I have 25 women that have hit the housewives stage. They tell 1 to 3 jokes and an inspiring quote. So it's funny. It's the funniest housewives when laughter and inspiration collide. But it's also about the death. You know, as you go along, you don't see it coming. My stepsister, who was my soul sister, best friend, Cindy Burns, dies, and I have to make the decision to keep the funniest housewives going or not. And you know, and I did. And you know, with COVID, I have a son who was incarcerated for 10 and a half years, and he would always instill in me, you know, don't count the days, make the days count. So through COVID, instead of, oh my God, this sucks, this is, you know, it's awful, I just felt like I'm gonna make something out of this time. You know, I don't want to waste it. So I work more on piano. I've worked harder with palm reading. I wrote that book. I'm co-authoring. I did the piece for Diane, which was like pulling teeth. I have to apologize, Diane. That was me pushing things off is so not my style, but
You got it done.
and I have a day job. I have a
finished
day
it.
job, believe it or not.
Oh my goodness. So you really are every woman. But
I do a lot. And for my kids too. I work a lot for my children who are also entrepreneurs, creating, pushing.
and that's inspiring to other women out there. And you've accomplished so much. And choosing 3 things to write about. Out of one of the 3 that you chose to write about, what would you say is the key to life for that? What bit of advice would you give out of one of those topics to somebody that's listening?
Writing that piece, and I had to kind of go back and, you know, talk about the stealing, or, you know, what I was thinking as a young child. And my age now, I think it's accepting, you know, where you came from. but having the wherewithal or the people eventually to surround you with evolving into, making better decisions, creating a better life for yourself and being able to fulfill your dreams. And I think when you grow up as a child with, so much without anything, we tend to believe that's how we're going to keep going. We don't deserve anything, that you have to find a way to overcome that. We all deserve greatness, and like I said in the other piece, and I taught for 25 years, and some kids are just born with just talented. My daughter came out of the womb doing, leaps and pirouettes, but a lot of people have all these creative gifts, but they don't utilize them. They don't work at it, and hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So, go for it, figure it out, get on YouTube, learn. I've been doing 10 years of piano lessons on YouTube every day.
Well, you have inspired me right now with that to just keep learning, because that does keep the mind active and pushing you forward. And when you're stuck, pick something up and learn it. So with that being said, in 5 years, what will you have learned, and where do you see yourself taking that knowledge? What does it look like for you?
Well, I was working on that 5-year plan. Of course, I hate to keep bringing up COVID. I was beginning to be a leader among, women getting into comedy, and I was teaching, and I was doing a lot of public speaking about things that I had already written and published and put out there. I think I'm going to be doing, what I'm doing now, but at a higher level. But I'm looking at my kids now, and they're doing magnificent things. My son's a filmmaker. So I'm not really settling back, but what I'm doing now is a lot easier than when I was first learning and figuring it out and how to do this. It becomes a little more natural. So I'm able to take that and switch it over to my children and help them accomplish their goals. My daughter just published a book, You Ain't Shirt. She was really quick doing laundry at my house, and she goes, "Why do I have my ex-boyfriend's shirts?" And she goes, "I should just model them somewhere." And I go, "Yeah, why don't you put a book together instead of You Ain't Shit, You Ain't Shirt, and model all the t-shirts?" So now it's turned into this coffee table book, youain'tshirt.com. You have to look it up. And she's got phenomenal women in there. And it's a story of the breakup, the healing, and the lesson, 3 different chapters. And they're modeling their ex's shirts. And it's so empowering to women, because we always, I have to find a boyfriend. I have to get married. I'll be happy when I, meet my boyfriend. I'm going to kill myself. We broke up. We have to, give women the different notion that fantasy doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Buy into the Cinderella story. But so my kids are so much like me, very driven, entrepreneur, creating. My son just did a documentary that he went out and after George Floyd was murdered, went to Minneapolis the next day, filmed a documentary. So now that's starting to take off in universities. So I'm really helping guide my kids with any knowledge.
It doesn't sound like they need much guidance. It sounds like they're already making.
Oh, they do. Can you help me write a preface for, but I make them do the work. I just go and then I'll look at it.
Yeah.
So I love watching, them succeed.
There is definitely some fulfillment that comes from that sense of satisfaction that, to see them move along. So
and I'm excited. What is in 5 years? I'm so excited,
Yeah.
I'll keep traveling down my journey, and the opportunities will present themselves.
Exactly. Well, since the universe keeps gifting you, I'll be curious. I'll look you up in 5 years. I want to know where it took you by the hand and led you to.
Yeah. Put it on your calendar, your 5-year. What's that girl again?
Can you think of a time in your life that you had a failure and look back at it now and say, that was actually something that was important because I learned something from it?
Yeah.
Can you think of anyone?
Well, I think we don't learn without failure. I would rather do something. I'm really big on finish. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to complete it. It might fail, but I just don't like the wondering what if. And I think, and I know this isn't exactly about failure, but I have been thinking a lot lately as I age about, forgiveness, forgiving myself for failing, whether it was a parenting situation or, a work or a bad decision. But I have to remind myself I didn't exactly maybe have the tools at 26. I did good enough, but I do talk about my failures, even though my kids will go, "Oh my, you were the best mom." But I'm thinking, I'm going, that little voice that constantly goes, "Well, but what about this when you were 28, years ago?" And then I think about the people where I failed that were part of that equation, like a horrible boyfriend or a relationship or this. And I was talking to my daughter recently, and this really made sense. Those people that hurt us and we're going through failure and disappointment, I think, in another life before we got here said, "I love Julie so much. I'm going to teach her that lesson. I love her so much. I'm going to be the one. She's going to hate me. And I'm going to go ahead and take that because she's got to learn that lesson." So I think, working on forgiveness of people that were involved maybe in my failures, that I blamed them. But, sometimes we just don't have all the tools. And I definitely grew up like a wolf in the woods. I didn't have any tools. I was raised by an alcoholic father who I love dearly. He's since passed. Whatever his reason for that, because we're going into this now. So I think failure, the more you want to achieve and succeed and dream and pursue, the more you're going to fail. Those are what teach us the most. Those are where the lessons are.
Yeah. So I see the boa behind you, and I know you said that there was a long story, but can you
the boa
a little bit smaller, shorter?
Really is, I have thousands of, so my stepsister died. And I used to wear boas back in the day to perform, but I wasn't paying attention to it. So when my stepsister died, it was really hard for me to get back on stage and do comedy. But we would sell boas at the housewives shows, and we would put them around the microphone too. So after she died, the guy that we would get the merchandise from said, "Hey, listen, I know Cindy passed away. I got rid of my store, but I got some boas. You can have them, just a gift, make you feel better." I said, "Okay." He said, "Bring a moving truck." And I went, "Oh my God, I can't do that." So I made, 7-10 trips back and forth to Laguna, picked up, I have hundreds and hundreds of boas, but it was hard to get back on stage. And it was kind of like, Dumbo with the wings, I think I wrote that in that book that you read, Diane. I would just put the boa on stage and I just flew, funny and singing. And it gave me this like magic. And so the last, 4.5 years, I think people, when I have kind of trademarked it in a sense, it's definitely my character with the boa on stage, the Mae West boa. I just kind of turned it into this, big show on stage, and I have tons of boas, and I do a lot of, happy birthday parodies and songs, and I always have the boa on, and, it's just kind of my thing.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that.
But it is kind of weird to have it in my bedroom on a Zoom. It's like, "Hey, what did you, what are you up to?"
You need to
Nothing.
put it
I'm
on.
up to nothing. That's what. Nothing. Not a damn thing.
So I have one final question for you, Julie.
Okay.
While you were writing the chapter for the compilation book, did
Yeah.
you discover anything new about yourself?
I remember writing it, feeling a little uncomfortable that I was being so vulnerable and open about stealing. And I thought, you know what? Who cares? Be you. And sometimes we think we are being us, being our true self. But, that was a lot to write down when I was writing it. I mean, I was discovering myself through those 3 words going, wow, this is really me, funny, furry, fantasizing. And then I kind of got into the gift exchange and the stealing and how fun it is to steal someone's gift. And then, maybe it was just more fun for me since I was a child who stole, but I stole because I didn't know better and I didn't have anything. Like I would steal from the Helm's bakery truck, like a glazed donut. Like, I mean, but now I can't. Now I'm so opposite. Like I said, if the other day I bought 2 cans of olives, and I mean a week ago, and I noticed one of the cans was by all the water I bought, but the other one was in the bag, and I'm like, I didn't pay for that. And I think about it. I go, I got to walk back in. I gotta, I don't have time. But I went in and I said, this isn't on my receipt. I want to pay for this. Because like I said, I'm not going to hell for $3. But I also think too, the universe is stopping me in my tracks. I'm not supposed to be on the road driving. I'm being distracted for a reason. So I always listen to those. Get your butt back in the store, take 5 minutes. Don't, or maybe if I, like, this is so far-fetched and weird. Maybe if I did drive away, I would be in an accident. I feel like the universe protects us in certain ways, or God or whatever. I listened to those. So I went back in, paid for it. They were surprised that I did that, but I won't even lastly, if I take a can out of the dairy, well, I don't eat dairy. If I take an olive can out of the condiment section, but I found a better one where the juices were, I don't just put the other one where the juices are. I will walk back and take it. You know, maybe that I'm just kind of anal that way. I just try to live a good life. I just live an honest life. But even writing that part, I am vulnerable and honest, but I felt like I was really selling myself to the devil there. Like, dang, I'm just going to talk about how I was such a little stealer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well,
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I thank you for your vulnerability. I really enjoyed your chapter, and
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to sharing that along with Kimber's and many other chapters.
I can't wait to see. Yeah.
I'm very
I'm
excited.
kind of nervous, of course, but yeah, I can't wait to see it, what everyone wrote. That's really exciting. And kudos to you getting this all together. I
Well,
know
thank
it's a lot
you.
of work, and I know how it is rounding people up. I had to round up the housewives, and it wasn't easy sometimes. Send me your jokes. I need your inspiration.
Yes, yes, yes. It can be a bit time consuming, but it's well worth it. I'm really, really excited about the project, and I think that people will really gain a lot from it and be encouraged. So that
When
makes
do you think it'll be out there for the public to purchase?
April 14th. That's the date
Okay.
we're shooting for.
The
So.
day before tax season's done. I work for a
I
tax.
didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I'll be celebrating.
Yeah. So, but thank you for joining us today. We
My
enjoyed
pleasure.
talking with you, and thank you all for watching. And if you'd like to share the video, feel free to do that. If you'd like more information about the book, you can go to FromUsForYou.com and get some details there. So, thank you, and you guys have a good rest of your day and make it a very hopeful one.